let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You can hear with some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to the
Good evening,
show.
Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. It is a pleasure to be back with you this evening. And happy Thursday. You're in tune to another episode of Sabrina Speaks right here. And it is the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. Happy Thursday. Yeah, I did that. Connie, I see you. I'm your host, Sabrina. It's good to be back here with you today. And it's just me. Maybe we may have a little sneak visitor later on to join in on the conversation, but you're always welcome to join in on the conversation right here. 936-8255 is the number to call. You can participate live. I love the interaction. Oh my God, it just makes the space even more homely and makes me feel that I'm definitely resonating with you who are the heartbeat of this space. And the topic today is the future workforce. And I want to hopefully delve in to tackling a fundamental question about how we educate our children and our current systems from school to home, preparing them to be creators and innovators. Or are we just simply training them to be cogs in someone else's machine? But you know what? I can't do this on my own because I'd like to get your feedback on this topic. So 936-8255 is the number to call to join in on the conversation. But just a quick heads up, the content you're about to hear here this evening, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and other participants, is intended solely for general information and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional legal or medical financial advice, and I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for specific concerns. Sabrina Speaks disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented here. And please follow, like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We're streaming live on CMR, all CMR, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram platforms. And you can also follow me directly on YouTube. It's the @ Sabrina Speaks, the number 12. And also on Facebook, you can find me and follow me on Facebook. Look for Sabrina Turner. And it has Sabrina Turner, community activist. Just follow it. And I see all of you, and it continues to grow. Let's see who is first to actually comment today. Shaka Zulu. Hi, how are you, Shaka? How are you? Hope you're loving the vibes. Hope you're loving the weather. Good evening, Marshall. Nice to have you here as well. It's always good to be back here with you, bringing you another informative show and just keeping it real here. That's what it's all about. But we love to do that with you. Anybody, I don't know about everybody else, but we know, let's send congratulations out to the most honorable Andrew Holness. And, in his reelection as Prime Minister, of Jamaica. It is being called a historic win because this is their third consecutive term, and he's the leader of the JLP. That's the JLP, Jamaica's Labour Party, in what is described pretty much too as a nail-biting race to the finish line. Now, unlike their parliament, they have unlike ours, they have 63 seats in total. And preliminary results show that the JLP winning and securing 34 seats of 63, and the People's National Party, the PNP, securing 29 seats. Yeah. So the Prime Minister, in his speech, and I'm just paraphrasing, not quoting, but pretty much the essence of it, he admits that it was not an easy race. I can remember him saying, "Make no mistake about it. This is not a victory by default. It was truly a fight." He said much more, but yeah. So it was. It's interesting to just watch it, and let's see if those numbers hold. Because as I said, those results are preliminary. Of 63 seats, the JLP has managed to secure 34 seats. And the People's National Party, leader of the opposition, Mr. Mark Golden, managed to secure 29 seats. Now, some of the people, of course, from the JLP that incumbents lost to first-timers, like ISAT. Yes, ISAT, he was one that I think he unseated Miss Vass. So yeah, very interesting outcomes. But yeah, let's wait for the final result. And let's see what's happening. Shaka Zulu, what are you saying? How is the Cayman Islands government services preparing for the future in the world of AI? That's in there, Shaka Zulu. What? Oh man, you're ahead of the class. Any thoughts on that in terms of future workforce? Hence the birth of this topic. Shaka Zulu, you're right there with me. But we getting into that. Just let me cover some regional happenings because I like, and this is going to be another topic as well, what I'm about to go into. It's what's happening right on our doorsteps. I don't know if we are aware, but I know a lot of us have streaming devices, you watch podcasts, but I'm not sure if we're aware how the US military has a strong presence right now in the Caribbean. And I'm seeing pieces and news articles in, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, Trump on Wednesday justified what is described as lethal military strike that his administration has said carried out on Tuesday against a Venezuelan gang as necessary effort by the United States to send an unmistakable message to Latin America cartels. And by all accounts, let me see if I can pull it up here. By all accounts, even Rubio says U.S. military strikes on drug smugglers will happen again. I mean, they didn't even try to intercept to try and nab these alleged gang leaders, cartels, whatever it is. They literally blew it up. They blew it up. And that's happening right here in our Caribbean Sea, right on our doorsteps. And the mere fact that that's sending a strong message of this military presence right here in the Caribbean, where we're geographically located. Are we in a bubble? Are we living in a small false sense of security because we're a British overseas territory jurisdiction? How close can this come to us? And right there and then, to be honest, what comes to mind is national security and how porous our borders are. And are we cognizant? Are we prepared for the realities of being in what's happening? So yeah, this is something that, let me get out of this. This is something that we ought to be concerned. Is there something that we're concerned about? So, oops, I'm losing some stuff here. What's going on? Let me get to my screen, guys. Just bear with me. I'm trying to get my stuff back here. What's going on? So yeah, today is one of those days, and let's get this show going. And I welcome Shaka Zulu, your comments, your feedback. Is everyone hearing me? Okay, there we go. I'm back. There we go. Yeah, so Shaka Zulu, I'm happy that you brought that up because that's one of the things that is a part of the discussion today that I plan to cover in this episode of Sabrina Speaks. And the mere fact that you've gone there says that I'm happy that it's timely and that, we have to look at where we're coming from. And, this whole tradition of getting out of what's happening regionally. But I'm going to bring another show in regards to what I said based on this latest strike that happened in our waters, how close we are. Are we realizing the temperature? When we use the term geopolitics, this is all playing into it. So it's not something that I am ignoring. It is something that is there. It's right in our face. And I feel that timeliness is key of subject matters and topics that we bring up here. And I'm about informing and educating as best as I can on this platform. And I always welcome your feedback as well. But, it's right on our doorstep and that's happening. And I think we need to speak more on national security, but in looking at it in the context of what we're could be subjected to, what we're exposed to. Are we ready? Should there be, or is the world preparing for another war? These are strong things, but I mean, it is happening on our doorsteps. Why not talk about it? It's all over the media. And we are a part of the Caribbean, whether or not we're a British overseas territory or jurisdiction. So let's get back to the primary core of our topic here today, and that's the future workforce. Are we building entrepreneurs or employees? And when we look at the traditional model of 9 to 5, a 9 to 5 job, we can see and we can honestly admit that that is shifting rapidly. We're looking at even the use of AI, that ain't going nowhere. You're looking at the rise in the gig economy. You're seeing more automations, you're seeing more pop-ups, and the whole connectivity that we can look at globally. So global connectivity is also at a fast increase and is forcing what we can call or can be described as a re-evaluation of what a successful career can look like. And the reason why I felt that that was fundamental to really look at it is because we cannot deny as to where we're going in this whole life, in world technologies. And we are a small island developing, they call us SIDS. And if you think that we're not impacted by this from the context of preparing the next generation, how are we preparing them? Are we preparing them? Are we harnessing an environment, or are we creating an environment that we can say we are creating more entrepreneurs? Or are we honestly creating them to be employees? So when we look at that and we look at the temperature of the environment, we're looking at how speed of information is being dispensed. I can recall, and I'll go to that in a moment. Forbes did an article the other day where it says jobs that will pretty much be replaced by AI. But my intention here today is to get into the discussion in the shift from industrial era that we were in, where it looked at mass employment was the goal, to pretty much the information age that we are currently living in, and this whole dynamic change, whether or not we're ready for it. And I'm feeling that a lot of us, if we don't embrace it at our own pace, could be left out. And that is why the problem that I'm seeing, hence the topic of the show, is the schoolwork pipeline still relevant? That's interesting. The problem. Is the school to work pipeline still relevant? Or are we too focused on test scores and memorization and not enough on critical thinking and adaptability in this environment? Are we actually pivoting fast enough as the demand of our surroundings, our environment? Are we preparing the next generation for reality? And are we limiting ourselves because we are a small jurisdiction? And this is why some of the thought-provoking questions popped into the head and pretty much came about this topic is, the fundamental differences in mindset between an entrepreneur. I was an entrepreneur. I became an entrepreneur. I raised up in a house of predominantly women, and I ended up being that, but I was the first as well to enter the political space. Was that because of my entrepreneurial background versus my cousins and my other two siblings? Was it because of the environment that I lived in that actually drove me there? Or was it circumstances why I felt the need to be self-employed? Is that genetically coded in me? I don't know. But is one inherently better than the other if you're an entrepreneur or an employee? Or do we need both to survive in this space? And, the key differences between that lies in how much risk I feel one is willing to take by being an entrepreneur. And that is the reality of being an entrepreneur. And not too many people are risk averse and willing to step out in the world because they fear the risk of failure. And when you look at the employee side of things, if that's just you, typically operates in this whole profound space where they have the safety of a salary. There's no risk on them more than just delivering on the on what their employers decided to do. So this is where, we have to look at the bigger picture. How does a student then in school, the high school experience, from the class structure to the extracurricular activities influence their future career paths? And that may actually bring to the realization, or I hope will bolster the reality as to where we're headed with preparing our future generations for the realities of the outside world. I can also stem this, put a foundation on this subject when it comes to the STEAM. It's an acronym, STEAM connection. And that is your S for science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. When you put that all into how are we preparing into the next generation of our ladies and gentlemen, our future, that is a key fundamental in how our curriculums now should be designed, whether or not we need to quickly identify whether or not a student in our classroom pretty much is a more theoretical person, which is books, and they're just horrible with their hands, or you need to be able to identify those a lot quicker. And it also ties into the responsibility of parenting at home in identifying these strengths, these weaknesses, and the shortfalls, if any, extra help that is needed within our kids as well. So this is not just a school environment issue. This requires the helping hand of everybody, in my humble opinion. Now, I mentioned earlier on that there was an article by Forbes that was made public. It says 10 jobs that will be replaced by AI, and pretty much is your job next. And I was a bit taken back at the industries that this report that was published said, for example, the World Economy Forum said that some of the roles most at risk of automation includes, and they list 10, postal service clerks, bank tellers and related clerks, data entry clerks, retail cashiers and ticket clerks, administrative assistants and executive secretaries, printing and related trade workers, accounting, bookkeeping, and payroll clerks, material recording and stock keeping clerks, transportation attendants and conductors, door-to-door sales workers, news and street vendors, and related workers. Now that's interesting when you look at that, and those are the industries. Now, how are we as a small island jurisdiction actually preparing ourselves and not actually have ourselves in the vacuum with the way we're training and teaching our or students in the school environment in order to not be victims of that reality, because our culture, because we want to preserve who we are, but yet we continue to evolve so that we can keep a sustainable environment that creates job opportunities and keeps monies in our pockets so that we can have a viable, thriving economy. Are we then being able to introduce certain things in our classroom structure that makes us the next generation equipped and ready for the next phase of their life? And with the whole methods and focusing in research as we look at it in product development, these are some of the things that we need to look at in our sciences, our technologies, as the STEAM actually alludes to. And this is why it is key that we get and capture the early learning of our children so quickly. This is why reading is key and math is key, and making sure that we can continue to have persons who are easily able to identify any learning disabilities in our children. Because ironically, in the same article that Forbes posted, they actually says, there was a question, how can I AI proof my career? And one of the suggestions, or some of the suggestions that they said, pretty much tailor yourself to learn AI so that you're not left behind. Polish your critical and analytical thinking skills, which means you can't constantly just think in a vacuum. You have to think outside the box, and stop being lazy with your communication skills and obsess over it, and learn how to communicate online, offline in a way that provides solid value without depending on AI. So it's all a delicate balance. So one may say, well, what are you talking about? What are you talking about, Sabrina? Because on one hand, you're saying we got to make sure that we learn it in order to not be left behind. But the balance is, don't depend on it. What people don't realize is that everything you put into this chat GPT, it's a human. It's a human behind that's actually creating all of this information. And if we become so reliant on that, it gives us at speed, but you still need humans in order to actually put it in there for us, the users, in order to actually get the information at pace. So let that sink in for a little bit. You need coders in order to make these different platforms and all that sort of stuff. And I have noticed, even in my own household, I have two grown sons, and one was more theoretical and one was more practical. But both of them are surviving because of their age and in the era. They are both surviving with the use of modern technology. Now that speaks volume, maybe because of its generation. Then who and what industries, then you may say, will not be a threat when it comes to AI, but it actually makes them smarter? This article pointed out that persons actually in the medical industry, like neurosurgeons and nurses and all that sort of stuff, they would use modern technology to make them execute their duties more efficiently and smarter, but not to replace them. Stick a pin. Let me digress a little bit. How much of our children now we're seeing more wanting to be content creators? I'm in this space on the cmrtv.com platform as a content creator. I'm 51. But when I sit down and look, when I take a step back and I look at my nieces, I look at my cousins and their kids, their children were doing all sorts of stuff on TikTok and Snapchat and all that sort of stuff. Do you realize that they were actually content creating? Yes. School taught them that. It's the environment that we are in that created that, even though it was used for entertainment purposes. When you're looking at all the posting of the memes and all of that sort of stuff, that's creative. That's a content creator. And then their friends, even though it may start out family and friends liking them, their algorithms, their platforms that they're on are not just limited to their friends and their family. That's exposed to the entire world. So to say that we shouldn't look at how education is being done as they get older and being able to identify the importance of even the arts. I swear, if one of my sons, again, ignorance is no excuse, and one of them actually went off of, let's say, sports. No, better yet. Let's do art, a painter, an artistic mind. I didn't know. And they saw where they can make money out of creative design, and they use this whole arts and crafts and making different furnitures and stuff. My era was programmed that you went to school, you learned the regular stuff, you get out, you come and you find a good job, usually back as a class in 1990. It was getting a job either in the legal field or the accounting, to be in the banks and that sort of stuff. But you never heard of putting a camera in the front of you and just acting out. I mean, we had drama classes, yes, but you never took that to the digital space, and look where we are now. And I had one who was all theory and one who was into that space. The second one now, second son, he's now entering the space and creating content. I don't understand it. It's only recently that I'm in this space with you that I'm able to even get my head around everything. So I don't want to miss your Shaka Zulu. I'm coming to your results. So at the end of the day, I feel we all have a responsibility in making sure that we are just not repeating class of 1975, class of 1976, class of 1990, that needs to be modernized based on curriculum base. I'm not questioning the educators. I'm just looking at the realities, because we constantly saying that we're letting these children out of school. They're not properly or adequately equipped to enter the workforce. They're entering into the workforce too early. But is AI actually putting them at a disadvantage? Can we adjust or create other after-school curricular activities that could probably help them equipped? Or should we even look to the curriculum totally different? Let's see what Shaka Zulu is saying. Yeah, Connie, you're late. Connie, you're late. CE Banks, hi. Yes. Let me just go back to some of the messages. So Shaka Zulu, how is CI preparing for the future world of AI? I dabbled into that, and we'll go some more, Shaka Zulu, to be honest with you. Good evening, caller. You're live on Sabrina Speaks. I'm just going through some messages. How are you?
I'm fine, Sabrina. How are you?
I am fair to fine. Just tackling this challenging topic here, and because of a Forbes article that I saw, and I wondered whether we were actually doing the right thing, and where our curriculum is concerned, whether or not we are actually keeping our future generations prepared, whether or not we're preparing them adequately for the new world that obviously AI is very prominent in.
Well, I mean, I mean, this is just my 2 cents, right?
Mm-hmm.
In listening to what you're talking about, I mean, in my opinion, you can add STEAM. You could focus on STEAM in school. You can focus on entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
You can have all the right subjects in school, but I mean, what about the mindset?
Mm-hmm.
If a child grows up in a home where entitlement is the norm, where parents are dependent on NEU, for example, and they don't model self-reliance. I mean, the lesson they absorb isn't innovation or resilience, it's dependency.
Mm-hmm.
Are we really preparing them for the future workforce if we don't tackle that cultural and generational issue first?
So you think a lot of it has to be the environment that they're coming from, and even though this may actually change the curriculum base, if it's not done in tandem with a culture mind shift base, we could possibly be trying to push water uphill?
Well, I think the focus should be the mindset, because until you have the mindset to want more for yourself, I mean, what more can you do? You mentioned content creation.
Yeah.
And content creation sounds exciting, but I'll be honest with you, a lot of our children don't yet have the discipline, the creativity, or the mindset to create meaningful content.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at yourself, Sabrina, you come with a wealth of experience and you come with a wealth of qualifications and knowledge. When you look at somebody like Aniki Hill, who's coming into the content creation space with her books and bush tea, Aniki is an educated woman
Mm-hmm.
coming with years of experience.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at somebody like Sandra, who got more degrees and certificates than Quaker got oaths, right? I mean, and business after business after business after business, y'all can get up in front of a camera and
And do
behind
it.
the microphone and talk because you all have that behind you.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's an attitude at home of entitlement or dependency, I mean, then just giving them access to new tools doesn't automatically make them entrepreneurs. What we need is a shift in the culture just as much as we need the shift in the curriculum.
Well, where do we start for that? Wouldn't we actually have to do that in this space with how we integrate it, slowly but surely integrate it, let's say, into our national events, then have more participation in outreach so that we can actually or create those innovative spaces so that they can see the world from a different lens. Right now, from what I'm seeing with the younger generation, they depend a lot on what they're seeing on TikTok, Snapchat, and what's in that space, the virtual space, but it's not creating the reality because once they come off of that particular site, it's reality, as you rightfully say, with their surrounding that goes back to default of their mindset. How can we do that? We got to start somewhere is where I'm trying to get.
Well, I mean, I think in terms of TikTok and social media, I think it's a form of brain rot for our children. I think just like how you have certain stages in life where you're introduced to certain things at a certain age and not before, I think social media should fall under that. I'm hearing of country after country putting in restrictions in place where you have to be at least 16 years old or over to join a social media. You're not allowed to have a social media and that kind of thing. I don't know how true it is, but I did see a few podcasts on things like YouTube and the like, where in China, we talk about this algorithm, right? The
Yes.
algorithm teaching you more and rewarding you more and that
Correct.
kind of thing.
Correct.
In places like China, they actually reward children for posting videos about things like science and physics and chemistry and whereas on this side of the world, it's the stupid dances and it's the stupid just
outright sometimes
rot for
bullying.
the brain.
Yeah.
That's just rewarded, right? I mean, I don't see any reward for productivity and innovation, right? So where to start? I think one, and I'm gonna sound like one of those old fogies, but I think one is get them off of TikTok or put laws in place where they ban them off of TikTok and social media in general, because it's creating this illusion that, oh yeah, so if I jump on TikTok or if I jump on YouTube and if I just start my own channel and I mean, yeah, we know the few people in our community who they start a channel and they talk and they're good for giggles and they're good for laughs and they get a couple of clicks and that kind of thing. But how sustainable is that?
Yeah. And I tell you what, this space is, I'm going to put you on hold for just a second, just to converge this call. To be honest with you, that one just gone. To be honest with you, that is one of the things that a lot of people probably do not realize in this space. You have to constantly have the content. You have to have sound topics. And my aim was, and caller, I told you that my aim was to elevate talk. Have sound topics that we can educate, inform. But I can't have a day, and Sandra constantly says this every morning on her show. She get up every morning, and whether or not she has to have content, because I've set the bar, knowing me, so high, I have to have meaningful discussions. Even days when I come here to say, let's do open mic, I would love people to call in and we can go like 7 different topics, but that is not our culture. That is not, people are just getting used to this platform in itself. and knowing it's a safe space. You understand? So I agree with you when you say culture and the mindset has to change. And short-lived content creators, because they may have a hit now, like few likes for this post, where is that originality having to continue in order to keep up that traction? Which is why you can't depend on the likes. You have to look into the quality of content that you're creating in order to make that sustainable. And you see this whole thing about monetizing your page, caller? That's a recipe for disaster, because some people really look at that to actually measure their worth. And that is a dangerous precedent, in my humble opinion.
That's certainly one way of looking at it.
Give me your way
But
then.
but I mean, no, I mean, again, it just go. If you have nothing really of value to add, I mean, you can get up and, oh my God, and like, yeah, and this is like my day, and I woke up today, and this is what I did, and oh my God, and like, oh my God, yeah, it's like this, and like, oh my God,
Did you
and
do
I shared
drama?
this, and I shared that, and oh my God, and it just becomes mindless prattle after a certain point,
Uh-huh.
right? I mean, and what you end up feeding is addiction, because then
Yeah.
people just get used to that and just keep clicking and clicking, and you've
Yeah.
all heard of the thing called doom scrolling.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
with regard to AI, with your topic going about, are we building employees or entrepreneurs?
Right.
People need to remember that AI, artificial intelligence, is just that, artificial. It comes nowhere close to real intelligence, and that's where they need to focus. Think of AI and apps like ChatGPT as a third shared brain,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're not putting if you're not putting real thought, it's sort of like the calculator, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to know the mathematics in order to use the calculator properly,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're just punching in random numbers and random operations, and what you're getting out, again, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if you don't
Right?
know the fundamentals, you're going to put in the garbage and you got to still get the wrong answer.
And how do you get the fundamentals? You have to change your mindset. I
Correct.
know of teachers who will not allow their children to use a calculator until they've demonstrated that they can work out
Mm-hmm.
equations, until they get like a really, really high number, a percentage of them correct. Because once
Mm-hmm.
you've demonstrated them to that teacher,
You would have gotten the fundamental. Yeah.
you've got it. All right, well, now you the calculator. The calculator is just there for you to save time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And people need to look at ChatGPT the same way. But the thing is they use it to save time, but garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, because not all the time you put it in there that it comes out with facts, and you got to have a grasp of exactly what you're talking about to even be able to identify that's garbage that it's spitting out.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, my thing is that we can teach them how to use AI. We can teach them we can put more emphasis on the STEAM.
Mm-hmm.
We can, have our teachers do dances on their head tops and entertain them in class. And until there's been a shift in the mindset, until they have that hunger where, you know what, I want to do something better for myself. I want to create something for myself. I want to create value until we get that mindset, you're just raising a bunch of employees who are just going to be replaced by AI in just a matter of, in the short term.
Yeah, Shaka Zulu actually made a very valid point. I would suggest not to read into any particular list regarding AI job replacements. All jobs will be affected, with many displacements ahead. Yeah. But I just found that interesting because some of us, we aspire to just get a job. We graduate from high school, you get a job, and this hunger for just wanting to be in government, for whatever reason. Some are genuinely wanting to be in the government, but to be a civil servant, proud to be a civil servant. But some just want a salary and the security of pension and medical. And we're seeing the numbers of that going to 5,000, right? Is that sustainable? Are they going to be considered, not picking at government, but I'm just looking at the numbers and changing that mindset, as you said, caller, to then look at more entrepreneurial opportunities instead of employee. But yeah, it is
But you
some.
just said it.
Mhm.
You just said the word. It's what people are looking for. Are you looking for freedom or are you looking for security?
Mhm.
Some people are a lot of people are only looking for security. But then here's the thing. If any organization, be it a governmental or private organization, becomes bloated,
Mhm.
then it becomes okay, well, who adds the most value?
Yeah.
And it goes back to that mindset. I mean, okay, well, AI, all right. Are you going to integrate AI skills into, I
Mhm.
mean, how are you going to use these AI skills in order to bring real value to the business and to the market, or to the organization and to the market?
Hmm.
Right. So even if an organization bloats to 5,000 people,
Mhm.
they're gonna have to cut off the fat at some point. And it's
Uh,
gonna be those who don't have that mindset of wanting to provide value,
Mhm. Mhm.
wanting to better themselves,
Mhm.
wanting to upskill, wanting to, because even in a bloated organization, there's gonna be competition,
Of course.
right? But it goes back to that mindset. And I just wish my people would wake up, and especially those that are of that mindset. Oh, you know what, government gonna take care of me.
Mhm.
Government gonna do it for me.
Mhm.
Oh, well, this and that. Wake up,
Yeah.
wake up.
Yeah. 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 We all at some point have to be able to. My grandmother always used to say, every tub must learn to sit on its own bottom. And I think that is more closer to a reality with certain things now, that we're getting almost what you can deem as a free for all. It's not like we have social security here or anything like that. And as you rightfully say, improving yourself, if you have to cut off the fat in some organization that is going into just bloated, who's going to absorb them? Because I'm quite sure they're still going to need to be able to take care of themselves. It's not like we have social security here. We see what's happening with pensions. We saw what has happened to pension, even though it helped at the time. Yeah,
Yeah, but
these. Go
but how
ahead.
much pension? How much can pension really help?
Exactly.
And this is what I like. I mean, when your light bill is higher than what your pension is bringing in,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
don't know.
Yeah.
All right,
But go ahead.
go on. No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
I agree with you with the mindset, but it's this whole I gotta use this word, the entitlement, and I'm
You said it. I didn't say it.
the entitlement mentality. And the reason why that came about with you is because I remember another conversation and that irked you. And it was the mindset again of entitlement that caused a specific reaction. So, can we put that into exactly what today's topic is about? Entitlement, where our future men and women, future leaders coming out of the education system, those choosing not to get tertiary studies, but because it's okay for them to get a job based on who their mama, their daddy is, or the last name is in certain organization. Houston, we're having a problem. We're going to have a serious problem because they still don't come equipped with the basic skill sets that makes them attracted in where the world is headed. Caller? Hello?
Hello. You
Yes.
breaking up?
No, not me. You. You okay?
Thing. I mean, I'm trying to talk, hearing everything what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. I'm hearing you better now. You sounded like your phone had dropped or something like that. Oops. Yeah. That caller will call back. I know we had another caller calling, so the phone line is now open. Damian Henry says, this is a generational issue. Unless we have a cultural shift, society will continue to fail the younger generation. If the mind is blind, the eyes are useless. Oh, wow, Damian. That's profound. If the mind is blind, the eyes are useless. Yeah, because they can't process what they're seeing because of their mind being, oh Lord, yeah. But this brings a bigger issue at hand. And when we look at, again, this word of entitlement, and I don't want to actually make anyone think that you don't have a place in a where we call home. But can we do a bit more, even from the role as parents? What are some of the ways parents can actually assist in fostering an entrepreneurial spirit in their children? And okay, fine, if they're not entrepreneurs themselves, that realizing what's happening in the world around them, like could us as parents be more encouraging in curiosity of even problem solving, or does that go down the road where we can't be able to expect certain things from parents because we're having children having children? Can we continue to use that as an excuse because at some point everybody grows up? um, is it a case where we as parents can just stop giving money and then ask them to find ways in which they can earn it, or help them? The other day they had this lemonade stand that was going on. Now that was only a summer thing. Some of the kids took it as, wow, it's we can get some money, but do they understand the core fundamentals of why that lemonade stand set up and what building blocks that's leading to them? Or even showing them how to sell their toys online. I have a friend who I know, their son was actually into selling products online, and that was interesting because of their age, and they got that at a very early age. I have another acquaintance as well who their children, their daughters, were getting ready to start up their own little business, and that was again in that home. And it was amazing how they actually sat down and they were doing the business plan and all that sort of stuff. But when you look at the mother and the father of that particular household, both came with a very strong finance background. But I thought that was amazing to see that their children had already, as a competitive thing, were in their own space, preparing to run their own business. Now those kids are grown. I'm quite sure one is over the age of 18. I got to follow up with that friend to see what actually happened. Caller, you're back. Hope everything is okay.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Oh, much better. Clear as crystal.
Okay.
I know
I don't know
one
what
one
happened.
person
What did I miss?
online, though not much. One person online, her name is Tisha Swaby, who's happy that you're back. Says Eldon repeatedly makes way too much sense. Seriously though, he's always on point. And I've heard that comment about your contribution to the show, Eldon, to be honest.
Well done. Who that is?
Miss Tisha Castillo Swaby. She's a
No,
secret.
who Eldon is?
Who, Eldon? Oh Lord. That's your alter
My name,
ego.
my name Alfred. What are you talking about?
Alfred, you keep Alfred tucked away today. No, I was going while you called,
Well,
I was talking about the role of parents, whether or not we should actually be more included, more encourage them to problem solve instead of just handing them money, instead of just buying them a $600 or $1,000 phone, make them earn it. Find ways to help them, like the lemonade stand that happened over the summer. And I reminisced about two friends that I had, where one, their son was actually selling stuff on his Facebook channel, and then the other two were in a home that both parents came with a very strong and sound financial background, and their children actually were building a business. But again, it's the environment that these young people are coming from.
well, on that point, I mean, I guess we could talk about this for hours and hours and hours, right? But I think what the root of entitlement in Cayman, where do I start? For decades, Caymanians could expect stable jobs with good pay, often without needing high-level qualifications. All right. I never saw it in my time, but I've heard that there was a time 40, 50 years ago, it was enough to leave high school and say, I'm a Caymanian, and you got a job, and you just sort of stayed in that job, right?
Mm-hmm.
The country's wealth, small population, and reliance on financial services and tourism
Yes.
created that environment where many locals felt guaranteed a comfortable standard of living simply because of their nationality.
Mm-hmm.
parents and older relatives, and they often reinforce that narrative. Oh, go get one government job, sit in office, you'll be set.
Correct.
But what people need to understand is that the global workforce has changed. Cayman is no longer isolated. It is competing against international talent. What employers are now demanding are adaptability, innovation, productivity, not just a Cayman passport.
Correct.
And the idea that one can walk into a cushy middle management role with a high pay, quote unquote, because I'm Caymanian, that ship done sailed a long time ago, right? But the mindset hasn't changed. Some Caymanian youth grow up expecting the lifestyle they see around them, the cars, the condos, every overseas travel, every weekend going Miami for a shopping trip, without connecting it to effort, risk, or discipline, right? So what that then leads to is frustration when the jobs available don't meet their imagined standard, or when they're expected to quote unquote start at the bottom. And then what that does is that it also weakens entrepreneurial drive, going back to your topic of employees versus entrepreneurs, since the mindset is more about what's owed than what can be built.
Right.
So why this matters for our future workforce is because that sense of entitlement is the opposite of what both entrepreneurs and high value employees need. And notice what I said, high value employees, not just any employee. Entrepreneurs have to be willing to fail, they have to be willing to hustle, and they have to be willing to innovate. And good employees, they have to bring initiative, accountability, and problem solving to the table. All this spirit of entitlement does is it undermines both.
Caller?
Hello?
Yes, I got you now. Go ahead.
Oh God, I think my signal dropped. Entitlement just, as I was saying, entitlement just undermines both of those things, right? By fostering passivity, resentment, and unrealistic expectations. Cayman can't sustain a future workforce on entitlement.
No. And then that affects one's attitude as well. And it's almost like a whole package. And people don't realize how their attitude plays a part. And like you rightfully say, at the end of the day, the mindset has to shift, because what you feel about yourself is what actually is oozing from you. You realize that. If you feel horrible about yourself, oh, nobody's going to like me. And if I go here, I know they don't like me. Automatically, I'm coming in with this rigidness that is automatically a turn off. And it's because of what you're feeling about yourself, but it doesn't really mean that that's how people perceive you. And this is why an attitude adjustment sometimes as well needs to be done. But caller, what is your take then on actually looking at
how to change it?
Yeah, one, but through changing the norm of extracurricular activities. Like I know the YMCA does stuff, but is this the time now that we actually change what after school programs look like? And it's just not softball, basketball, cricket, sailing, based on what school you're going to, choir, that sort of stuff. Understanding you can make lucrative incomes from those. You can become an entrepreneur. You can probably be a coach, but you get where I'm coming from with this. Do you think we're at that turning point now where we literally have to broaden extracurricular activities, or even deeper yet, revisit our curriculum?
In terms of the extracurricular activities, I mean, in my humble opinion, I think first we need to start in the home. Let's not look at extracurricular activities or school first. I think we need to look in the home. I think what we need to focus on is parents must show children that hard work and not handouts is what provides stability. I got a kaboom.
Yes, you did.
I think we need to reform NAU. I don't think it's called NAU anymore.
No, it's the DAF, Department
okay.
of Financial Assistance. Yeah.
So it's sort of like how we stop calling garbage men and start calling them sanitary engineers, right?
Your sarcasm is on steroids today.
Reform the NAU. Assistance should be conditional. It should be tied to training, job placement or community service. It needs to serve as a springboard and not a sofa.
Hmm.
Families need tools to budget, plan, and this is an important thing that I find that's lacking in a lot of our young people. This thing called delayed gratification,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as the schools go, I think that we need to build the mindset and not just the curriculum. So theme, content creation, entrepreneurship, it has to be tied to resilience, initiative, and problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Normalize starting at the bottom. Students need to do internships,
Mm-hmm.
apprenticeships, um, service learning, so that they understand that entry level work is part of growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that what the schools can also do is that the schools can spotlight those students who show that grit and that innovation, not just the academic results.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Let's see what else.
But that's where do we actually start with this? Or can something be tailored? You think we need to get it into the homes then? We know that we got to find out a vehicle of getting into the homes without actually preserving one's dignity, understanding not all of us come from the same type of surroundings, and we do have pride and we may be embarrassed, but we need to find a mechanism on just getting into that personal space without making people feel less. And that's the challenge I feel, caller.
I mean,
I'm not going to throw away the baby with the bathwater. I'm not going to say that it's impossible. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. I just feel that we need to be able to find that bridge in getting into the homes. You know what it's like anyhow with PTA meetings. How much come out? How much come to reporting sessions? Do they even come? I think we need to try and navigate how we get directly, almost like public health. We need to go to them. And that's the only how we may probably begin to see a change when those kids actually come in to the school environment, because we would then have tapped into the parents or the guardians by actually going into their homes.
so you're talking more of something like
Community outreach, but it's more family oriented, where we're doing that in order to save the next generation.
like a
Because
school to home bridge.
there we go. There we go.
Um,
Building the bridge to a new mindset is exactly where that, because of exactly what you say, we have to figure it out. Because the what and the why, and we got to be able to get to the parents, even if they have gone wayward, even if they don't even understand our language. We got to make sure that we can build that bridge to a new mindset. And we are been joined by Miss Sandra.
I think.
Hello.
Hey, Sandra, how you doing?
Good. How are you? How are you?
Good day up on the gully side still, you know.
You understand?
geez.
Me say.
It must be the effects of the results.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real.
Yeah,
Sorry,
but building the bridge.
wanted to weigh in.
Yeah, building the bridge to a new mindset is what I'm thinking. And, students do the right to prepare for the dynamic future, but we're struggling, Sandra, as to how we can reach the parents. And it's almost like public health, where we're going to have to try and figure a way into their personal spaces whilst preserving their dignity and being respectful of their privacy.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the truth of the matter is sometimes you have to recognize that, and I hate to put it this way, but the parents might be a bit of a lost cause in the sense that they are who they are and they're stuck in whatever mindset that they're stuck in. And you have to focus on changing the mindset of the next generation of the children, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know how much you can do as long as you can get access to the children. That's why integration into schools is important. And whatever mediums that they're watching, so social media, they're on there. So showing them, everything from video shorts, discussions, clips, reels, whatever, to kind of capture their attention and teach them in kind of like little micro moments. I think that those things are incredibly important. And that's how we can get to young people. That's why they need their own separate voice. Right now, I'm pushing to relaunch a youth talk show. And that is something that will give them the experience of sitting there, being responsible for certain elements of production and coming up with ideas. And, they get in there and they see how to do things. And you would be surprised how they will embrace that, regardless of what their parents are saying or doing. Sometimes the children are going to be the ones teaching their parents.
Correct.
Like, Mom and Dad, look at this. This is what's possible. This is how it works. And you'll find that sometimes the parents are the ones who get invigorated by what their younger,
their children are showing them.
And they then get involved because of that.
Linked home activities.
Correct. Curriculum. Yes. Linked home activities.
Absolutely.
And I mean, we see the power of this space. Look here, you're one end of the island. I'm quite sure wherever the caller is from, another end of the island, but yet we're all one. We have all of the people that are live. We are connected. We can do actually exactly what you alluded to, caller. This is a family. This is a space. We just help. We just help one another.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
we got to figure out a way to get into the homes, preserving their dignity and being respectful of their privacy, to be honest, in my humble opinion.
Yeah. And I think the truth really is that, especially for our young people, as long as they're in a safe home, right? So they're free of this chaos that I keep talking about. They're free of abuse. Their minds are going to be receptive and open to learning all sorts of things, practical skills and everything. And that's where, we can do so much within communities. I mean, there've been children who will tell you, now they're adults and they're grown, they might have children, even grandchildren of their own. It was the YMCA program. It was an after school program. It was a teacher who made a difference in their life that they really responded to in a positive way. And that's how they were able to get out of certain situations that they thought, I'll be just another generation doing the same thing as the previous generation. And no, it doesn't have to be that way. So, I think that there's always hope. And when it comes to teaching young people about business and learning the basics. I mean, I love programs like the Chamber program. What's the name of it again? That they have there where they get
mentorship. Where they get the mentor, the mentee and the mentor. Yeah.
No. This is the one where they set up little businesses of their own, like little groups.
Oh,
I have participated. Oh God, what's it called again? It's escaping me right now. It'll come to me. But they get to run little companies and they get to pick like who's going to be the HR manager, who's in charge of marketing, who's in charge, and those young people, junior achievement.
Yeah.
Yes, and they get the benefit of learning little elements. And even a program like that can be so impactful years on when young people are trying to decide, do I continue the traditional university route or do I want to become a business entrepreneur for myself? So we have to expose them. It's the exposure that's important. We expose them to these positive programs that demonstrate, you can do this. This is how you kind of start and just plant the seed. And then I think, our young people have so much incredible potential that they can do it.
Yep. You're quite right.
I like Sandra's idea of student-led businesses. Perhaps letting the students run micro businesses in school, food stalls, t-shirt printing, digital services. Profits go partly to them, partly to a cause they choose. They get a taste for success. You could get mini grants for ideas. You have like a pool of maybe, I don't know, $200, $500 grants for students with workable ideas.
But you looking at some of the children now, Caller and Sandra both, what we were resilient to or what wouldn't break us based on our age, it don't look like our younger generation can take the pressure. So how then do we look and teach children that failure is not an end of the road, but you got to pick up yourself and move on? Because I think there's a lot of social pressures. There's a lot of pressures as well that they're seeing on the online, in the virtual space, that the mindset and resilience has to be looked at as well, because it looked like they can't take much pressure.
Yeah.
ban them
I
from
think
social
things.
media until they reach a certain age. Ban them from that until they reach a certain age.
I was
All right.
just going to say that a lot of it comes back. Times have changed.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest changes is actually the advent of technology. So the things that you like before, even we had bullies in school. We weren't
Yeah.
immune from bullies, but when
Correct.
you left school, you were done for the day. At least you got a break when you left. These kids are constantly being bombarded with the stuff. They leave home and the bullying continues because they have smartphones with Snapchat and Instagram and WhatsApp, and people still chatting to them, whatever. Parents, delay giving your child a phone. If you can do it till that child is 18 years old, you would be doing your kids a favor. Trust me.
World of
That
service. Yep.
is the biggest problem, is that they don't get they don't get a break from it. It is literally 24/7. I see some of these kids be up in the middle of the night when they should be sleeping, when they should be getting some rest. What are they doing? They're messaging each other and carrying on. It's like, what the heck?
But how can you do that when the
Well,
majority is totally dependent on smart
Dependent
devices?
on them
And
for what? They're not using it to do schoolwork. I can tell you that. They're
okay.
dependent on it for the wrong reasons. So I think as parents, you don't have to give your children these smart devices. I get that there's pressure there. I mean, I understand contextually. Oh, everybody else has a phone. These are things that your kids are going to say to you. But
Right.
back in the day, what our parents used to tell us? Well, honey, if everybody else went and jumped off a bridge, you can do the same thing? No, mommy.
but Sandra, but you see, this what I want people to listen to. You're a businesswoman.
Mm-hmm.
You make a lot of money. I'm not gonna say what, right? But if you wanted to, you could buy Gigi a new phone, the latest iPhone mask every day for every month of every year that going across. You're not doing it, and they got people who struggling to make mortgage payments. But that's but
priority is
they
wrong.
can give their children smartphone,
Yeah.
and then put smartphone for what? Producing D's and F's in school.
I know
It's
my
a
daughter's
mindset.
already asked, and I've said to her, she said, well, when can I get a smartphone? And I said, maybe when you're 16. If your grades are reflecting that you are deserving of one, because you don't just get given something like that, you have to earn it. So that age that we have set already for her to maybe have an expectation of one is 16. If she's not doing what she needs to do in school in other ways, 16 gonna come and go. You gotta be 18 when you have your own job and you can go afford it on your own. That's how that gonna work.
I have a question to our host Sabrina. Talking, because my mind is ticking now, right? Talking about the school home bridge, right? What do you think about normalizing failure as a part of growth? So, I mean, you just mentioned between you and Sandra, too many Caymanian youth avoid trying because they're afraid to fail publicly, right? What do you all think about schools doing things like running, fail forward days within a sort of this sort of entrepreneurial program where students present ideas that flopped and what they learned about it, and celebrating the lessons and not just the wins?
Yeah.
I don't see why not, of course.
Listen, I think that we have
course.
to first of all redefine what failure even looks
Exactly.
like.
Exactly.
Right? Because the things that people say to me that are failures, I'm like, that's not a failure.
Use it as a necessary
that
stepping
is a
stone.
lesson. Yes.
Yeah.
Not every business is going to turn into this huge multi-million-dollar success story. That's not how we need to be more realistic. And I think teaching people to manage their expectations is probably one of the most important things that we could do for our young people, right? They have unrealistic expectations. And once again, social media doesn't help. They see people on here fronting and flossing with this lifestyle. And when you go really check the numbers in their bank account, they're not even there. So they need to get a reality check in terms of, okay, that's not how the real world works, right? That's not how you become a success story. So when they see the guy going around in the fastest car and this and that, and oh, he's still, living at home, with his mama and don't have a garage to put that car in, that don't make no sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we
Not
need to be
only, not
real
only,
about these conversations.
not only that, you see, you talked about the flossing lifestyle on Instagram and places like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There's a website called Tag the Sponsor. I don't suggest any children go on it, right? Basically,
Mm-hmm.
these Instagram models that you see, you know, with the Gucci purses and
Yeah. Yeah.
the that and stuff, right? They
Mm-hmm.
posted some of the messages or some of the things they have to do in order to get it, some of the degrading things they have to do to men in the Middle East. Oh, they want to go to Dubai and
Mm.
I don't even want to repeat some of the things that
Mm-hmm.
they do, right? But going back to your point, Sandra,
Mm-hmm.
not all that glitters is gold.
Mm-hmm.
What you see on social media is not reality. It's a highlight reel, and this is what people need to
Exactly.
remember,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right?
A
And
lot of
even
a lot of
behind
those
that
people,
highlight
those
reel,
so-called influencers, it's completely fake.
it's
Yeah.
false.
Yeah. You only see
It's
the
false.
end product, but you don't see the behind the scenes, like Sandra and I alluded to. People don't see the work that goes into this. They
Mm-hmm.
don't see the continuous learning.
Yeah.
And as we embrace AI, I mean, she has pulled me out into doing certain things as well that wasn't taught to me. I'm a class of 1990.
Mm-hmm.
But does it mean that I stay down? I have to survive into this
Mm-hmm.
and learn the fact that if I fall down, I get back up and try a new approach. Don't let one failure set me back forever. But we see it in the environment, but you just can't throw your hands up in there and says, I'm done. The world is over with me. That's not reality.
Yeah.
And what I see happening in a lot of social media space is that they're only showing you the glitz and glamour. And 99%
Mm-hmm.
of the time, it's not real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Absolutely.
Sabrina, your thing about reaching out to the homes, right?
Right.
And I think
I see it got you thinking.
what do you think about
Mm-hmm.
like offering evening or weekend workshops at the schools, right? Where parents can learn alongside their children. So, for example, you can have classes like
Mm-hmm.
Intro to Digital Skills,
Mm-hmm.
how to help with
Mm-hmm.
healthy cooking on a budget,
Mm-hmm.
right?
In breakout
Um,
sessions where you deal one-on-one with the parents because some of the parents
exactly.
are fighting
Mm-hmm.
with themselves. We are learning ourselves in even how to communicate with the children because sometimes the children are more savvy than the parents. And we
Mm-hmm.
need those one-on-one breakout sessions where the children are in one area dealing with the
Mm-hmm.
fundamentals, as you rightfully said, math, English, social studies, whatever. But then you may actually need to do a separate class with the parents to build them so that they can deal with their very own children. And we shouldn't be ashamed if we need help as
Mm-hmm.
parents.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of parents, back in the day who they didn't have those skills, but they tried to surround themselves with people who did in terms of like their children. There were so many Jamaicans, Caymanians, people
Mhm.
from Honduras who made immense sacrifices for their children
Yep.
to be able
Yep.
to get educated. I remember a story that somebody was telling me, unfortunately, his life story has taken a very different turn, but they were talking about Canova Watson, just as an example. These people were in sort of public spaces with their lives, and how his mother, couldn't even understand to fill out the form to send him money, but she was
Mhm.
working hard. And then somebody else would go with her and send it off to Western Union to make sure that her son had that money when he was in university. She is making a lot of sacrifice for that young man to learn what she didn't have the opportunity to learn. So, although some of our parents didn't have the educational opportunities that we do, they still had good work ethic and they were still working hard and trying to pass that message on to the next
Mhm.
generation, but also elevating them to say, you know what, you've got to learn to read and write in this world. You've
Correct.
got to go away and get a university degree to be able to get a job,
Mhm.
and elevate yourself. So a lot of those sacrifices were made, and I think that we could learn a lot from those situations as well. I
Mhm.
think that some of the priorities have changed for young people now, So the younger parents, they're more focused on trying to maintain an image themselves and keep up with the Joneses instead of really focusing on building something of value that can be generational, whether it's a little home, a little business, whatever, for their kids to participate in. Listen, if you're a business owner, you need to make sure that your children understand that money doesn't drop out of the sky.
Hope
You
you
need to
do.
have these conversations with them straight
Correct.
up.
But,
You know, when they
but
want
why?
something, how are we going to afford that? But just take out,
But
this is what
why
the
is
kids will
that?
say, just take out the credit card. Which credit card? That credit card don't have money on it automatically.
And
It
is
has
it
to
for
be
you?
paid.
It's not for you.
Well, that too, but it has to be paid. And so in order for it to be paid, and for that means somebody has to be working. And
Exactly.
if the child isn't working yet, then guess what? You need to ensure that they have little ways of doing their little chores and their tasks and so on in order for them to understand the value of work.
Caller,
So
you were saying something?
yes,
I
sir.
was saying why that was, but I mean, I've said it on a number of occasions when I called into Sandra's show, and I think I may have said it. It's that lack of struggle. Right?
Yes.
Why
Yeah.
you know, there was a time in our history where men had to go out and work. Women, even though they stayed at home, they had to work in the home because the man wasn't coming home to some nasty house, right? He wasn't coming home without something cooked, even if it was that much she did, and not to undermine. You understand? And I think a lot of parents, they from that generation say, well, you know, well, now I've made it. I'm gonna make sure that my child never has to go through and struggle like that. Not realizing that you're doing your child a great disservice when you try to remove all
It's
struggle
true.
and all effort and all everything
Yeah.
from their life.
It's so true. I
Right?
was actually saying to Sabrina earlier, she was talking about, preparing for the show. And I asked her if she had ever read this book called The Millionaire Next Door. And it was a book that I read in university. And that same thing you just said was basically the story that I shared with her is first generation millionaires work in certain industries, right? Waste management, car sales, whatever. And then they acquire this money through their hard work, their sweat and brow, working extremely hard. Then they come to the point where they have children and they try to give their children what they didn't have. And that means material things. And apparently the research demonstrates very, very clearly that that is actually a mistake. You need to withhold from your children, teach them values, and make sure that they understand that hard work is what got you where you are. And sometimes you need to downplay even your financial position with your children. People don't know this, but was it Steve Jobs? No, Bill Gates. His children, when they were in school, they didn't use his last name. They used the maiden name of their mother. So the people, the fellow students, yes, the fellow students did not even know that these are the kids of this multi-billionaire Bill Gates.
One of the wealthiest men in the world.
Yes, so they had a much more normal childhood, even amongst their peers, because of the fact that their parents said, you know what, we need to make sure that they have a good degree of just normality in their lives. Let's just ensure that people don't know, oh, this is Bill Gates Jr. or whatever.
But even Warren Buffett, I think he was
No
driving
access to private planes and all this kind
yeah,
of stuff.
yeah.
Commercial
Warren Buffett as well.
flying.
Warren Buffett as well. He lived in a modest home, drove a regular, I think, Cressida or Toyota Camry or something like that. And yeah, he was of the same mindset. Yeah.
And he publicly stated that he was leaving his children something that they can do something with, but he wasn't leaving them
That's
everything
right.
for them to do.
Correct.
So they're not gonna sit down waiting for him to die to
So,
become millionaires.
so all my Caymanian parents that listening, stop telling your children you got a piece of land for them. Stop telling them that when you're dead and gone, the house is theirs. Start telling them, when I die, the house is to be donated to Red Cross, or to, even if that's not true, start telling them that. Put it in their head that they got to work for something for their own, for themselves. Yeah? Stop giving them this expectation that when they, oh, well, all of this going to be mine. No. This for mommy and daddy. Or if it's only mommy or daddy in the picture, this for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's not your room you sleeping in. That's my room I loan into you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay? You see, when you reach age, you're getting out, you're going on your own. I'll be here to support you, but you're not going to be, scorpion on my back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Start normalizing that conversation. Let's start there.
I think that attitude comes about is, are we parenting or we want to be our children's friends? And that's a delicate balance as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, you have to really, you have to really let your, you have to know how to navigate, I think, the world in which we're in.
Correct.
And let your children have as much of a normal, and I use that word loosely, childhood as possible if you are a person of means.
Yes.
Otherwise, they gotta know the struggle anyway.
Yeah.
They will certainly get the struggle. But I think that we could be more conscious of how we are dealing with our children and the messages that we send to them, even just on a nonverbal and subconscious level, the way in which we are living our own lives with intention or not. We need to live it with intention so that they understand. Like they will have conversations. I mean, the youngest babes, I tell people my daughter's only 9 years old, and the conversations that I've already had with her already from when she was like maybe 7 years old, she could occasionally go on play dates. Of course, I'm there as a helicopter parent watching everything. But, she's on a play date and she's like, there'll be times when she's like, oh, our house is so small. And I was like, you don't make a comment like that around me and get away without us not having a conversation. And I said, our house is small. We have over 4,000 square feet. I said, do you realize that there are people in the world who, number one, have no house? They don't even have food. They don't know where the next plate of food is coming from. I said, you don't have to worry about those things in life because your mom and dad work extremely hard to give you a comfortable life. We have expectations. Right now, your job is to work hard in school and make good grades. That's what we expect of you. And as you get older, we will expect more. But for not 1 second should you think you live in a small house. That's because you're going to somebody who got 10,000 square feet. They got pools, they have this, they have that. I said, yeah, that's not the average person. So you know what? Likewise, I make her go with her best friend who mom is a single mother. You're going to have a play date with her too, right? They only have 2 bedrooms, smaller house, and you're going to enjoy yourself while you're there too. Because everybody has a different situation.
Correct.
And we don't judge people based on the size of their homes. That does not make them a good person or a bad person. Very, very good people live in very small homes. Equally, horrific people live in a McMansion.
Yep.
You have to have these conversations with your kids. If a child says something to you like that, and you don't even pick them up on it, you've lost an opportunity.
Catch it, nip it in the bud.
It's a teachable moment.
Yep.
It's a moment for you to listen to that child and say, why would you think that? So before I even respond, I ask questions. People know I'm probative. So I said, well, why do you think that our house is small? Well, so-and-so's house is like so big. And I went there last week and I said, oh, okay. So already at the age of like 7 years old, they're already making these comparisons. Your house is bigger than mine. Your car is bigger than mine. She had this little friend. He's since moved to another school, but he was at her school. And anytime I'd pull up, we had a little sports car. He was like, oh, your mom is driving. I forgot what he thought it was, a Lamborghini or something ridiculous. I don't even know where this boy gets such a big word up in his vocabulary from. I'm like, a Lambo who? And I said, no. You can tell him there's not no Lamborghini. And I know he don't have no clue what a Lamborghini even costs and that mom is not going to be spending that kind of money in no car. But again, our kids get exposed to a lot. We're letting them sit on YouTube. We're letting them, watch stuff. And it's crazy what they get exposed to and the people that they're around and therefore the things that they learn.
Yep, that's true.
Control it. I'm going to share a video here. I'm just downloading it, but I want to share what this woman who's a Secret Service agent She was doing an interview with this guy, Steven, who does the diary of a CEO. And she was saying how she refuses to allow her children. Her name is Eve Pomporis. I think Evie, sorry, Pomporis. And she's very, very interesting to listen to. This is actually an older interview from back in August of 2024, but it brings home the point that we're talking about this evening, why it's necessary to be very, very careful what it is that you're actually exposing your children to. You better know, because if you don't know, I can assure you that's not a good sign. I'm just going to pull it up here in a second so we can have a look at this. But listen to this.
18 months old. I've never put an iPhone in front of her. I have no working television in my house because I control what she absorbs, not the internet. And I'm going to hold on to that as long as possible because I've seen with the cell phones. I'm a grown-ass adult and I'll look at stuff and it impacts me and I'm like, I can't look at this. Or I'll unfollow things or I'll go off social. I don't want to see it. I cover news. I cover crime, I cover really heinous things. And there are times where I do the news. Stephen, I don't watch it. So there are little things that I can do. So up until this point, 18 months, it's a lot more work for me and my family. There's no social device. There's no cell phone. I control that. I kind of look at it. I want to know what's feeding her mind. The way I choose to make her food, I choose what goes in the mind. I control it. And a lot of parents will come to me and I'll tell them, if you're not comfortable dropping your kid in the middle of Times Square to talk to whoever, then you get that thing out of their hands because now somebody else is putting ideas in your kid's head. I have no control over that. Zero. And that's powerful. That's one. And especially we see it affect little girls. And again, I'm a grown woman and social media impacts me. And the moment I'm like, I put that thing away.
Oh, wow. But it's true. Everything that she says is true. Everything that she said right there is true. And that is shaping our very own future. That's shaping. I mean, Sandra, it's funny that she said that. You have 15-year-olds that are doing startup business right now to make a traditional career more competitive. You have those children, not even 18, starting up businesses online. So I get what she's saying here but how long do you actually hold them back understanding the climate of the world is another question. Would we be thinking this way if we were living in Manhattan or in Europe somewhere else? Would we
be thinking? The danger is no less in a way. The danger is no less. And this is where Caymanians, I think, really need to wake up. I only have a couple more minutes. I got to jump on a business call here, Sabrina. But, the danger is no less, right? There are predators out there who are, preying on your children through these social media platforms, through smart devices, through Snapchat, through WhatsApp. We've had it right here in Cayman. Remember the case with the football coach, what's his name again? What's her name's husband? She's a track and field coach. Mothersil's husband. I sat there and I heard the judge say he was so disgusted at the sheer volume of messages and the content of what this man was saying to this little girl to try to convince her to be with him sexually, to send him sexually explicit content. He said it was horrible. And at that time, there was no direct legislation against that. Right? Another example, the Webster guy who went to jail for, doing things with that little girl, she was able to sit there and record him sexually pleasing himself. In a way, thank God, because if she didn't, nobody would believe her, I don't think. But still, you know how he was communicating and contacting her? Through the cell phone.
Oh, wow.
So you open up a whole new can of worms once you give your children these devices and access to these devices. And for most parents, the kids are smarter than the parents when it comes to what's going on in the device.
Correct.
Parents have no way how to lock it down. They don't know how to control it. They don't know how to monitor it. None of that. And that's a weapon. You've just taken a weapon and put it in the hands of little kids. Trust me.
Very interesting times.
Yeah, whatever you're trying to tell and teach your kids, keep those devices at bay for as long as you can. There are other ways in which you can help them.
I think Jim
You know?
made a comment here earlier on these devices are built-in babysitters.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, listen, you know,
Because the parents are too into their
it
own
is.
lives.
I get it. Been there, done that. You know, sometimes you just need a minute to be able to breathe, and you're
Mhm.
like, just watch this movie on YouTube.
Mhm,
You know?
mhm.
But my daughter only has access to kids YouTube, not regular YouTube, and even the kids YouTube, you got to be watching and keep an eye out.
Yeah.
You know, you
Mhm.
can't just let them have it free reign and you don't know what's going on. So
Mhm,
she can't
mhm.
download. We've set up her iPad where her account she doesn't have access to. We are the ones who have the password. You know, my husband is in IT, so he makes sure he's set her own email up, her own, but she doesn't have access to any of that. That's so that we can register the device and keep track of everything. There are monitoring devices that when they get older, you can put in their phones.
Mhm.
You know, but for now, she has very, very limited things and she can't download anything else. And she's gone over to a friend's house before and come back and something else is on the iPad. I said, how did this get here? This isn't allowed.
Mhm.
And you got to be able to make them responsible for their behavior because they're like,
Mhm.
oh, well, this kid did this to me or this kid did it. You know, it wasn't me, mom. It was, and I said, no, if somebody touches your device and something happens to it, you're the one who's going to be held responsible. I don't care
Mhm.
who did it. I don't care if it's actually you or your friend. It's yours. So
Yeah.
you need to take ownership of it because you will be the one who's going to be punished if something happens.
Mhm.
If there's an app on there that's not supposed to be, I'm not going to go punish your friend. I'm going to punish you. And that teaches them individual responsibility. Like, wow, I'm going to be held accountable.
Correct. Correct. But building this bridge into the next space will require, I'm telling you, it's going to require us actually taking this on
Yeah.
and a different approach, in my humble opinion. We almost have to look at it like a public health exercise. We have to go to them because at the end of the day, we can't just give up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We
No,
can't.
I mean, it's our future, right? It's our kids.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
but anyway, speaking of business, for
Yep.
me, I have got a business meeting. I think that I need to jump on, of course, and most people know that we're expanding here on CMR TV, and there's lots of moving parts to that. So I've got a meeting this evening with one of the graphic web guys that's going to help us out with some stuff.
Okay. No
Um,
problem. Thank you.
but yeah, I appreciate being able to jump in on the
It
conversation
helps.
because
And platform is here
it's a
for
very
everybody to call
interesting,
in. Mhm.
yeah, it's a very interesting conversation for sure.
Mhm.
And we need to keep having it, you know, it doesn't disappear.
I would love to
Um,
get the perspective from like a group of teachers of
mhm,
various age groups to have their stake on it, seeing where teaching is going now and exactly what's happening in the classrooms, and to just get their take on it. It would be good. It would be good to see the difference in
mhm.
the various institutions and have some real parents who would be
Yep.
willing to come on to see, well, okay, if they're having challenges, if they don't even understand how to navigate these breed of children, it is what it is. Because I'm quite sure you are raising your daughter. Gigi's what, 9? And
Mhm.
you listen, you and I have
Okay.
a
Oops.
conversation.
Gotta run.
Yeah, okay. If
Don't want to be late. That's the
sure,
first
no
rule of
problem.
business.
Yeah. What if I'm quite sure that if you have a conversation with Sandra right now and myself with a 9-year-old and raising two grown adults now, it will be totally different. And because the environment was actually different, in my humble opinion. But it would be good to get it from a perspective of parents as to how we move forward, understanding as we said, AI technology, but we also have to look at the realities of the world and the global economy. We have to sustain ourselves. But it's very interesting what 10 years will look like when the demands of jobs and all that sort of stuff, what would be the baseline of landing a job in the future. It's going to be very interesting, caller. And you stayed on for a while. Thank you so much.
Well, I was just about to say,
I
let
don't
me
know if
jump
anybody
off
can cut here.
before a certain somebody calls on and say that we gotta limit my calls when I come. So
Yes,
anyway,
yes. Thank you so much, nevertheless.
take care.
Yes. Yeah, but what do we predict the next 10, 20 years will look like? And will we have an actual blend of entrepreneurial and traditional employee roles? And, I think that the space is conducive for both of them. And I feel that we just need, in my humble opinion, to bring an entrepreneurial mindset in a larger space, going back to the topic of future or the workforce. Are we building entrepreneurs or employees? And I feel we need to create more of that space. We've heard our caller who stayed on with us and saying, he feels it's the mindset that has to change. And if that is the case, let's create that space. Let's build that bridge into breaking that down, that barrier, or what may be perceived as a barrier, down. And in demanding roles, or roles that will evolve in a blend of, let's say, technical skills or soft skills, AI is still there to assist, but it shouldn't be that is the primary focus, because we are having to prepare our own for this whole global market. It's just amazing, though, what our kids are exposed to at such tender age, navigating that, being that the parents that are always involved, making sure that we can still expose them, but cautiously. And what we have to do in order to bring responsible parents out to the future is going to be a task that all of us have to play a part in doing. I really don't feel that we should beat up ourselves as parents if we're not feeling that we are reaching our kids, or take that road of beating up yourself completely all the time. It's okay if we make mistakes, just don't stay down. I think we need to improve on our communication. I think we need to get a little bit more involved with the school, as we rightfully say. Take a check of your environment, see what you're exposing your child or children to, and just try to deal with it. Have the honest conversations with your children if you don't understand it. And when we look at the jobs of our educators, they're there to help focus on building these skills, and not just imparting knowledge, I feel, in my humble opinion. And then with the parenting part of it, you have to juggle life as life is thrown at you. And we have to just encourage our children to initiate that curiosity, try to allow them to take, small calculated risks. I have a cousin whose daughter she aspires to be an attorney. She wants to be a lawyer. And one of her soft skills or trades, that young lady can put on, if you see her do fingernails, she do acrylics, she do painting. It's as though, she can actually start a business, but she still aspires to be in the legal field. What I'm saying is, her mother didn't stop her. My cousin didn't stop her from pursuing her desire, that passion, that came natural. There's no one in our family that did anything in beautician or in the beauty industry. And if I remember well, it's nothing from the father's side as well. But what she can do with even pedicures and manicures, but the skill set. And if you see this young lady actually doing her own nails, I struggle if I have to use my left hand. But if you see her doing that technical skill of applying that acrylic, buffing, filing, and all that sort of stuff, it has blown my mind, and she's still in school. The parent didn't cower her from that. They didn't distract her from that. They actually encouraged her to pursue that, but also with her true desire to become a lawyer. So these are the things, when your parents are in tune, when they're listening, when they're observant, and they actually support their children. We could want lawyers and doctors of our kids, but sometimes we need to listen too. We need to listen a lot more, and don't just throw it on our educators. They're only a building block. We need to look at our surroundings. We need to look at even how we speak to our kids, how much love we share. And if it is a case that that was not something you were used to, use them as an example. What would you be hungry for? What would you feel that you were missing when you were growing up? If affection wasn't there, and you're seeing how others react to just touching yourselves and cuddling yourself, and you have those kids, practice that with your children. Practice that and open the communication. Watch your pitch, watch your tone in communicating with your children. That can go a long way with how they actually react and behave, even in the classroom. Jim says children are made to grow up way too quickly anymore. Children are made to grow up way too quickly, mainly due to pressures. A lot of the children, Jim and I agree with you, are actually raising themselves because a lot of these children are in single parent homes and the parents are out working, or they're left with a helper, or they're left to take care of themselves, or older siblings are taking care of them. And that too is another, I guess you can call it problem, but this is where that building the bridge in resilience, as we alluded to, moving forward, building a bridge to a new mindset can take place with what the caller and I were discussing. And it's sad because those kids are not wired at that stage to take on those adult responsibilities. And I'm feeling that is why some of them are feeling the pressures so much of reality, and they either go wayward or they go into depression. And this is where the mental drain is affecting the children. This is where you're having mental issues are stemming from as well, because as you rightfully say, they are made to grow up way too quickly. And there's a lot that's going on when they're pressured by social media, when they're pressured into school and the classroom environment. They may be struggling with even learning, having learning disabilities, and they're blaming themselves, comparing themselves with others, because you may have this social media footprint where you're the cat's pajamas, but in school, you can't read, or you have a problem with understanding concepts, therefore not bringing home the grades. And then you're competing with whatever issues that are in the home and in the family unit. God forbid if you're abused by a family member and you have to swallow that. You have to actually hide that, and the shame and the guilt, and you can't even speak to your parents. There's a lot that's happening right now in our society. And I feel spaces like this, participation like this, having topics like this, bringing it into perspective, hoping that our educators and those who are in that space will realize that we're no longer, or should see things in a prism. We should actually look at it far afield. And I want to thank Shaq for actually saying what he had to say, and others of you who comment that pretty much all jobs are going to be impacted by artificial intelligence. But we can't discredit ourselves. We can't dilute ourselves for understanding where we play, what role we play into this world. AI didn't come about just poof, we wake up and it was there. Somebody had the mindset, the creative juices, in order to put all of those moving parts together to make our lives more easier, to make the access to information so much faster. But should we make it even make us think that we're less? Should educators then look at it and be responsible with introducing smart ways of assisting in their teaching, but without it actually taking over the style of teaching? Damien Henry, some children are careers themselves. You said a lot there, Damien. That's true. That's true. And but then what is causing that? What is causing that? Is it the environment? Is it peer pressure and all of that? But I really feel that just scraping this surface on this topic today, I hope that brings us back into the realization that Is it just projects on a specific topic? Is it just geography now that we should be thinking about in school, understanding the fundamentals of grammar and math and English and that sort of stuff? But where we're going in the future really hinges on having a being realistic with what's happening in the global space, in the world. And for those who are fortunate to be able to go overseas, see life differently, and is exposed by getting their tertiary education, be it local or overseas, but even more because you're seeing different cultures, you're seeing different behaviors and all that sort of stuff. I hope that you're able to aspire to come back home and to play a positive role in our society and help us reshaping what the future looks like. But I think it's going to take every one of us to do our part, to be honest, in order for us to save the next generation. And for students, we can't just leave it on them to just raise themselves. Some of them feel that. You can see it. I was very active in the PTA, and you could see those who just wanted the attention. The caller said it as well, that a lot of them just want that one-on-one. Sandra mentioned it as well. It's just the attention that a lot of them are hungry for, a hug, an embrace, to let them know that they're listened to, you hear them, and that they belong. I think another way forward in addressing this and making sure that we're on the right direction is to invite more of our young people to the table to engage in and participate in these discussions, because many of times they feel that they're left out. Many of times they may feel that they are misunderstood. And if we are charting the course for the next generation, understanding that many of them, based on what they're exposed to, in the pace of information, the access of technology and all that sort of stuff, they're way advanced in even how their critical thinking skills. I think a lot of them are mature enough through the various programs or can be identified in the classroom to invite them to sit down, have think tanks, and just hear it from their perspective. And it would be good to hear from the young people, exactly how they feel the environment or what they're taking away of the current environment, including them. You hear them being very vocal when it comes to topics that matters. You hear them talking very vocal about sustainability and single-use plastics. We can go back to the port again. But what I'm saying is, should it only be on those topics that we should have that anger coming out into the public? Or should we welcome them earlier on in discussions, because they do have a lot that they can bring to the table? And if being at this age and we're saying we're wanting to create this space for future generations to come, maybe we need to readjust our sails and invite them to the table at a much earlier age, and removing the age from it, and invite our early teens, because we're building the future for them. And if we're making or creating those paths for future generations only based on our mindset, how we see it, without giving them an opportunity to possibly share with us how they're seeing it, I feel we're doing everybody a disservice. And there's nothing wrong. I learn from my two sons. I learn from people younger than me every day. And I'm grateful for, I'm not ashamed of saying, hey, I need help. The other evening, I was having a Conniption Fit live, and I know you all didn't pick it up. And I was there messaging my son. I said, look, you need to come and sort this out. Something's going on wonky with my computer and needed access. I wasn't scared to say, I don't know. And there's one thing of doing Google and all that sort of stuff, but who would have ever thought a parent going to a child for advice in regards to certain things? We need to step back from that, because we all need to live in this space and mutual respect is given. My son is now an adult, and there are times we have adult conversations because he's in his own, he makes his own decision. And I feel from that perspective, nationally, as a community, that it is important that we create that space and we welcome our young adults to the table to hear it from their perspective, because I think they have a lot to offer. But yeah, 936-8255. If anybody wants to weigh in, anyone else want to weigh in on this conversation, but we're stopping at 7 tonight. Yes. And but I really hope that I was able to at least open the door on this this topic. The future workforce. Are we building entrepreneurs or employees? And the stark reality that artificial intelligence is here to stay. It's not going anywhere, and that our kids deserve a space and a voice. And who is actually creating that? That it's not coming from a place born on anger, but it's coming from a place where we can respect their voice and their opinion matters. Jim, if children aren't provided the attention with being nurtured and being heard in the home, many seek that out elsewhere. And sometimes, if not many a times, find it in a negative way, which gets them in trouble. Jim, you're quite right. And that is why I feel that at the end of the day, when certain children act out, even in school, there's usually a deeper rooted cause for why they act out. And like I said, if they're going to do these after school programs that is born from these discussions where you have the children and the parent or parents coming to these activities, sometimes the parents need to be separated and have real come to Jesus talks, hoping that they will be comfortable enough to just put their hands up and say, I need help. I need to deal with me. And I feel that too is that's a huge step in the right direction. And you're still respecting them. You're still dealing with them with dignity, and you're still not in their personal space. Eventually, if that idea takes off, then who to tell? You can have persons that will then go to the home and give advice. Of course, all professional. We know the darkness to light certification. All of these things we have to take into consideration. We're just not going to willy-nilly put people out there to go in your homes. But we must admit that there is a problem, that we need to capture this, because we can't allow our kids to go to stray, Jim. We can't. And some of these kids that are acting out, and we're pretty much just tossing them, saying they're troubled child, or you know what gets under my skin? Well, you can't expect no better out of them. You know, that's Sabrina's son, or that's Sabrina's daughter. You know her. Don't do that. Don't do that. For God's sake, don't do that. Every child deserves a chance. And that's another stigma that comes with the small island mentality. We brand these children because of who they're for, where they're coming from. And that is automatically telling those children, if that's the mindset, that you will become nothing. And I don't like that. I don't like that. But we need to look into the core of why some of these children go another direction, looking for the attention, to see what's lacking in the home. And sometimes a simple conversation. Sometimes it's a simple misunderstanding of the child not understanding the parent or what has happened in the home. And I feel that we can actually win this. And I'm hoping that someone will take the idea up with bridging the gap into changing the mindset, thinking of other activities that you could actually do, or changing access and the types of after-school activities geared to families and not just the child or children, that it's including the family. It shouldn't be a case where it's only for a movie night, which we know, being involved with the PTA, these movie nights are used as drop-off points for the children. Why won't we do a family movie night at the school? Change that up a little bit. And to see what it's like to really do that in an open space. Maybe a kid may be bullied at school and you don't know, but that kid actually has the strength to point certain things out to you in an environment like that. I'm just giving these ideas. What I want as a takeaway today is that This is an idea. This is not coming after educators. This is not coming after parents. This is not even blaming you, the students. No, this is a harsh reality that this is the real world that we're dealing with. And I'm only bringing it into perspective and putting the spotlight on our ever-changing world, the ever-changing environment around us, and how this global impact can affect every one of us, no matter where we're from. It's here. We're seeing it every day, and I wouldn't want for anyone to be left behind. And I have this platform to not highlight it and to bring it to your attention. And that's why I felt it was fitting to bring this up. Not being an educator by any means, but I want to thank a dear friend who actually provided me with some information. And I want to thank the caller as well. Damian Henry, children often educate the educators. Sometimes the problem is bigger than the parents. Take time out and listen to your kids. Yeah, Damian, that's true. Many times they're trying to talk to us as well. And we're flippant, oh yeah, come in, yeah. And we're constantly talking, or we're distracted. And yeah, this is why I think we need to do more family inclusion in our activities, Damien. I could be honest with you. We need to have more family units into when we're doing this. I don't know what legislation, what policies maybe have to put in place. Understanding now there's so much issues with permission and access to other people's kids, and just the whole legal framework and liability. Liability is what I'm looking for. But I'm hoping we can navigate that and not miss the forest for the trees and try to get this now. And I feel we'll be doing our future generations here in the Cayman Islands. And of course, we all know the tagline here is Voices of the Islands, Conversations for the World. And this is why I'm not just dealing with this conversation locally. And I'm hoping that somebody does understand the mission and the purpose of today's topic, and not just think that anyone is coming after education. Like I said, I'm not. I'm just bringing it to the forefront. Are we preparing entrepreneurs, or are we preparing our children to be employees for somebody else? My humble opinion is a takeaway. We should prepare the environment for both. But it takes a mind shift, a mindset change. And that requires every caregiver, every mother, every father. You can be deadbeat all you want. You can be self-proclaimed whatever you want. Your life may have gone in a different direction as a parent, as an individual, but for God's sake, please give your offspring a chance. Separate whatever issues you and the mother or the father of your child or children may have, and give our next generation a fighting chance. If it requires those children to be the ones to actually break the silence between the two of you, think of them. Think of what seeds you're instilling because of the animosity that you may be holding between one another, and they are becoming the sacrificial lamb. We don't need that. There's enough hate into the world, and we see what's happening on a global front. As I'm here, and it's funny, it's really funny that I said I want to do a show on national security. I just got a breaking headlines, and I'm going to discover this. I'm going to look into this more. Defense Department being renamed Department of War under Trump executive order. For those of you who are with me at the beginning of this can't go unnoticed. It popped up and it took me for a loop for a little bit. Defense Department being renamed Department of War under Trump executive order. I'll leave it right there. I'm going to have to do some more research on that. But just going back to the topic, these are all things, again, what's happening in the world, that we just can't remain focused on what's here. We have so much things going on at one same time, but we need to understand that we're all here for a purpose. We all have a purpose. We have a responsibility. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to our community. And I'm just hoping that someone could have been inspired by this episode of Sabrina Speaks today, and more so to educators and to the parents to understand that we all have a responsibility. And with that, we've come to the end of this episode, and I'm hoping that I was able to explore the challenging landscape of work and the importance of fostering entrepreneurial mindset in our children, whether they become founders or a high value or even high value employees. This is not going one way or the other. I was trying to do it straight down the middle. But the key takeaways I hope that you get from this with a delicate balance is to not fear AI, but to also enhance it. Constantly invest in yourself. It's so easy to do simple online courses now. And think of it less as a job stealer, but more as a new teammate and a tool that can augment our skills and free up some more creative time so that you can actually spend with your family and friends. But, when it comes to learning, to all of our educators, I'm hoping that, that you would have found this episode inspirational and inspiring. And I want to thank you all for listening to me, and thank you for joining me. It has been a pleasure being with you here this evening, and I'm looking forward to Friday. Yes, that's tomorrow. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. To all of you, please be safe, and I love to do that. Have a good night and take care. God bless. Until tomorrow. Have a great evening.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, K-Man, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.